So today we got two movies that are supposed to be love stories in a way, and both of them have Laura Dern in them. Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome to an all-new Talkin' Movies double feature. As always, I am your host, the real Geno Reynolds, and today we're going to be talking about two movies, Little Women and Marriage Story. A little bit of a caveat here. When I saw both of these movies, I wasn't in a real great mind state. If you listen to the low budget live stream from the other day, things at the beginning of the new year are never really good for me, especially these last few years. So it's hard for me to really get into watching movies at times. So I'm going to do my best to give my best reviews for these two movies, but in a way, especially when it comes to one of them, it didn't really do anything for me. The first movie we're going to be talking about is the newest adaptation of Little Women, Louisa May Alcott's Little Women by Greta Gerwig. I have to say this first. Two things. One is it's sad that every time I watch and review a movie of Saoirse Ronan's, I have to look up the SNL monologue where she sings a song about how to pronounce her name. And second, I know absolutely nothing about Little Women. I've never seen one of the 8,000 Little Women movies. I've never read the book. I don't know the story. So in a way, I'm going into this fresh. That being said, I know I'm really going to disagree with audiences and critics about this movie. While I didn't love it as much as everyone seems to be loving it. I didn't hate it either. But I'll talk about what really bothered me about this movie, what really ground my gears when I was watching this. What this movie is about, technically, the whole story is being told by Jo, Saoirse Ronan's character, as she's she's basically telling the story of her and her sister's lives. As the four March sisters, Meg, played by Emma Watson, Jo, played by Saoirse Ronan, Amy, played by Florence Pugh, and Beth, played by Eliza Scanlon. And they live with their mom during the Civil War in Massachusetts. Their mom, played by Laura Dern. And they're waiting for their father to come home from the war. And this is kind of the story. You see both that time period plus some years later, after some of the girls moved on with their life. And the movie does jump back and forth between time periods. And I have to say that that is really my first real problem with this movie, is that after a while you do get used to it because you kind of know what's going on in the story. But when it starts jumping back and forth, you're not exactly sure which time period you're in at times. And maybe other people found it easier to follow than I did. Eventually, it got to a point where it's like, oh, they have that style of hair, so it must be the past. Or they have that style of hair, and it must be the future. So that's kind of how I started, being able to tell what time period I was in. And it wasn't the whole movie. It was really more near the first of the movie where this was an issue. When it comes to the performances, that I had no real problem with the performances. I thought almost everyone did a decent job. There's one character I couldn't stand, and I'm going to talk about them last. When it came to... So the performances are fine. I loved it when Bob Odenkirk shows up as the girl's father. He comes home and it's like, hey, it's Bob Odenkirk. Chris Cooper was really good in this. Meryl Streep was okay. It's getting to a point where Meryl Streep's just Meryl Streep to me. A lot of times she's a good actress, and don't get me wrong, I'm not putting her down. It's just, I feel like I'm not saying she didn't put any effort into this movie, but she started to just feel like Meryl Streep to me whenever I see her in films. So I can't really say she was great in this movie. She's a solid actress that can be phenomenal. when she really puts herself into a part. And this one, she just is kind of there for me. All four of the girls I thought did a really good job. Laura Dern was pretty good in this. So the acting wasn't my real issue, but again, I want to talk about one character in a moment. The story itself, jumping around time-wise aside, I thought it was okay. I don't have any real connection to this story, so this movie, I don't know if it really worked hard enough to get me to care about most of these characters. I'm not saying I didn't like the characters, but when it came to, say, like Florence Pugh's character, she goes from she's like a brat, and she does some really mean things to Joe during this movie to get back at her for just like not letting her go to a party and things like that. So it's hard not to like her, or it's hard to like her. So, but then later in life, we're supposed to really care about her hopes and dreams, and I just didn't. I'm not saying the performance was bad. I'm just saying the character development wasn't really very good for me. I thought Emma Watson was really good. She was probably the best character in my opinion, because you have this character that other people have dreams for her, but then she kind of has her own dreams. Her sister wants her to be an actress and thinks she's really good at an actress and the plays that she writes and everything. But Emma Watson's character, is really just happy. She wants to be a wife and a mother, even though when she finally gets those things, she has some issues because other people are able to afford nice things and her husband doesn't make a lot of money, and so she is a little down through parts of the movie about the way her life turned out. That being said, in the end she realizes that she has what she wants, and that makes her happy. Saoirse Ronan's Joe, I thought it was real hit or miss. Maybe it's just because I'm getting tired of seeing her in movies like this. I want to see her do different things. I'm tired of seeing her do period pieces. And yes, I do count Lady Bird as a bit of a period piece still. Again, she's not bad in this movie, but I don't know. And I will say this. I do love the scene near the end of the movie. I think she's fantastic in the scene where she's talking to the book publisher. I do love the ending to this movie. I will say that the way that the story ends, and then that the way the story fictionally ends, I do like that. I had a good time with that scene. But all throughout the movie, she's kind of hit or miss. For me, again, I think it's just my being tired of her seeing her in movies like this. Just wanting to, it's like, oh, here we go. Here's Saoirse Ronan, another period piece. Again, still really good actress, and I want to see her just do different things, I guess. But her character, just the way she sees love in this movie is kind of weird. I mean, yeah, the way that her, in the end she pines for this character, and there's like no real reason why she should. And then, at least that it turns out for the better for her, even though it doesn't turn out better for another character, because I think the Florence Pugh's character's romance is just stupid in this movie. I don't understand why she would be in love with this character that I'm about to talk about, because he's kind of a douche the entire movie. Anyway, the acting is fine. The story was very hit or miss for me, so I don't know if I can really recommend this one highly. Then again, I guess if you love this story, you might like it. I really want to know what people that love the story thought of this adaptation. Was it better or worse than past adaptations? Is it a good adaptation of the book? But let's talk about Laurie, the character of Laurie. There is no short of 3 of the 4 sisters that have interactions with this character that may or may not pertain to romance. Now, Emma Watson's character, he kind of flirts with her for a little bit and then says some douchey, mean stuff to her, even though he's trying to be saying, I like you how you are, not all dolled up kind of thing. But just the way he comes off is kind of douchey. So there's really no real romance there, but the character of Joe, he falls in love with her, and he loves her forever, right? And I've loved you since the first time I met you, and he pines over her, and then almost settles for, and this is a spoiler, I'm sorry, but I have to say it, settles for Amy, Florence Pugh's character. And now Florence Pugh's character almost makes a good decision in telling this guy to piss off. Because, I mean, he's a gigantic douche the entire movie, yet Florence Pugh's character ends up marrying him, and I don't get it. I don't get their love story. I don't get why Joe likes him. The guy is a tool. Now, is he this way in the book? Is he this way in other movies? I don't know. But Timothy, I guess it's Chalamet, his performance is a douchey for Laurie, and I couldn't stand that character, and that really took the movie down some notches for me because they're pining over this douchebag, and that just really killed it for me. So all in all, I didn't dislike this movie, but it didn't get me interested in wanting to see any of the others. It didn't get me interested in wanting to read the book. I would never watch this movie again. So again, I really do want to know what people that like the book, that like the other movies, thought of this one. Me, I can't recommend it. The next movie we're going to be talking about is Adam Driver and Scarlett Johansson's marriage story that you can find on Netflix. What this movie is about is you have a theater director played by Adam Driver who falls in love with an actress played by Scarlett Johansson, and she has a little bit of success in California, but she picks up her entire life and leaves her family and everything and moves to New York with Adam Driver to be in his plays. And after some years of marriage and having a child, they realize they're having issues. There may have been some extramarital affairs. There's all sorts of stuff going on, but they definitely know they're having problems with their marriage, and they do seem like they're on their way to splitting up. That being said, after Scarlett Johansson's character takes an acting job for a pilot in California, she moves her and her son to California, and in some way falsely getting Adam Driver to believe that they're coming back to New York after this pilot is finished, or if the show doesn't get picked up. But Scarlett Johansson's character ends up keeping the child in California, and also then goes to a lawyer and starts the divorce proceedings. And the movie is about their time going through the entire divorce. Okay, where this movie really works is its performances. First of all, during my live stream the other day, one of the people participating said that this is probably one of Adam Driver's best movies, or they said it is his defining role. Well, I wouldn't say maybe. It's going to be up there. I don't know if it's his defining role, but it's definitely up there. Adam Driver is phenomenal in this movie. So is Scarlett Johansson. And as someone that's not the biggest Scarlett Johansson fan, she's really fantastic in this. So I am not too proud to admit that I really liked her in this movie too. You get some decent smaller performances by actors like Wallace Shawn. He's one of the actors in Adam Driver's play. But there's some real standout performances also from Laura Dern, which, by the way, again, connection to the last movie we just reviewed. She plays Scarlett Johansson's lawyer. You also have Ray Liotta playing a lawyer, and Alan Alda playing like the nice lawyer. Of course, Adam Driver's character goes from the nice lawyer to the pit bull lawyer. So there's really good performances all around. And I mean, yes, the movie is definitely led by the two leads, but the supporting cast is really good as well. As someone that's been through a divorce, I can tell you that a lot of this story it was a little too familiar in some ways. Just how you want to work things out. You have the two characters wanting to. They're both wanting what's best for the child, but then again, once the lawyers get involved, things get really dirty, and then the bad sides start coming out, the bad intentions start coming out, the ugliness starts coming out because the lawyers, granted that stuff is probably there with our main characters, they're trying to do their best to keep the good side out, do what's best for their son. But then the lawyers start getting involved, putting ideas in their head, bringing out ideas that they may or may not know they've had deep down, and things get ugly. It starts off with Adam Driver's character almost losing everything because he didn't find a lawyer fast enough, and he goes and he gets Alan Alda as his lawyer, who again is kind of like this nice guy lawyer, and he's almost rolling over for Laura Dern's character. And Laura Dern's character, she's what you'd want in a divorce attorney because she plays dirty, and especially if you want to win, you know what I mean. And then whenever Adam Driver's character knows he's getting screwed, he goes to the Pitbull lawyer, which is Ray Liotta, who plays just as dirty as Laura Dern's character, and things get really ugly. And you see where one's trying to get money from one's acting gigs, where the other one's trying to get this grant money that he got for being a theater director. He gets this grant to help pay his actors, and the lawyer wants to take it, and they do a lot with visitation rights, and I'd like to have him this day, but no, we're doing something that day, so you can't have him. And it just, all this stuff gets ugly until the two of them blow up at each other near the end of the movie. And that scene is definitely the best part of the movie, where the two of them are alone in an apartment, just talking about what they really thought their marriage was like, and just everything else that goes along with it. There's lots of awkward scenes when it comes to, and I went through something a little similar. Granted, we had to go to the lawyer's office, but I can't remember the exact term, but it's where the kids get a lawyer. Technically, it's not one of your two lawyers. It's another lawyer that is kind of there for the kids' best interest, and he wants to see how you interact with the kids. Now, you talk to the kids. Granted, he didn't come to our house and watch us eat dinner and play toys and do weird knife tricks. That's in the movie. I'm not going to really spoil it. It's kind of a weird scene. But they definitely do want to see how you're with the kids, and what you think is, what you think is the way things are supposed to be. And so there's all sorts of weird, familiar stuff that really hit me I don't know if it's in the right or wrong ways. Probably in the right ways, because that's what they're going for, I guess. But it did not feel good to watch a lot of this movie. Now, my biggest disconnect, I think, with this movie was that while these characters aren't like millionaires, they're still very well off, and while they're acting like money is an issue. Now, granted, again, one's wanting to take acting money or the lawyers anywhere wanting to take acting money from one, wanting to take grant money from the other, but you've got a character going from New York to California, and it doesn't seem, they're saying it's a financial burden, but they really don't show that financial burden. He's able to get an apartment in California and also keep his place in New York. And it just seems like money was never an issue, even though they tried to make it an issue. Maybe the characters were a little too well off. I think I would have identified more with two characters that didn't have the success that they have. If they were more just regular type people, I think I would have connected with them a little more. Does it ruin the movie? No, but it does take a little bit of the realism away from it for me. Do I recommend this movie? Yes, I do. It is a really good movie. It's got fantastic performances. The plot is mostly good. The ending I really loved. It's definitely, I wouldn't say it's an open ending, but it was a bold choice the way they ended the movie, because of how simple it is. I do recommend the movie, especially since it's on Netflix. You're not going to be out any money other than your monthly subscription to see it. Again, whenever, other than the being able to not being able to identify with the characters because of their stature, that's my only real big complaint about the movie. I don't love this movie as much as a lot of people are. It didn't affect me as much as I thought it would. I think the movie might have been a little too hyped up to me whenever people were describing it. That being said, I still think it is a very solid movie that you should check out on Netflix. That's going to be all for this edition of Talkin' Movies Double Feature. If you have anything to say about either of these movies, Little Women or Marriage Story, please feel free to leave a comment in the section below. Till next time, I'm your host, the real Geno Reynolds. See you later.